Did you know that most security budgets are wasted? You're not undersecured, you're overspending on the wrong things.
If you do everything in the spirit in which it's intended, you'll end up with a more secure system or process or organization. But not everything is done in the spirit of that which it is intended. There's a lot of, for instance, as it relates to penetration testing or vulnerability assessments or things of that nature, you can always be more comprehensive and you can be significantly less comprehensive. And a lot of those things there's just a lot of check the box type stuff in security. And so people do it because you have to check the box, but that doesn't necessarily make you more secure. Again, it can, but not everybody's in the business of trying to be as secure as possible. They're in the business of checking the box so that somebody stops yelling at them or so they meet their Q3 target or whatever it is.
That's perfect segue to another question then. In your experience, where do most companies think they need to spend money, but really they don't?
I don't know if I can really answer that effectively. And that's just a function of me not necessarily having been on the company side of the house too much, right? Once they're in my lap, they've decided that they want to spend money, or we've had that conversation that offensive security or proactive security is important to them. I can't necessarily say where they're misspending per se. I can say the importance of spending on proactive security, which is proactively identifying your vulnerabilities in a number of different contexts, is one of the highest ROI things that you can possibly do as it comes to security, because you're identifying those vulnerabilities before they're exploited by bad actors, which means that bad actors are going to have less vectors to attack you from and diminish the probability of getting hacked.
You run massive security budgets. So what was your biggest realization about inefficiency?
Right now, the way penetration testing is typically delivered in the market is through a consultancy. So Big Four, boutique, something like that, right? So if you've ever bought anything from a consultancy, it's slow, takes a long time, takes a lot of effort, and it's usually pretty expensive, right? All those things are inherently inefficient. And so what I could see in those functions was an opportunity to automate a lot of what's going on. So I did the math at one point, and for a simple penetration test or an engagement, you'd have as many as 10 different people touching an engagement. Why do you need 10 people to do something? And it wasn't always 10, just so we're clear, right? But you could have as many as 10. And that just, again, inherently seems inefficient. When I approached Dark Horse, I built it from the perspective of what if you could have 0 people touching this, right? What happens is you're able to set up a whole lot faster. You don't have to go back and forth for weeks building an SOW and all these other things. You can set up faster. You can get your results faster because you can launch faster. And it's easier to use because it's asking very simple questions that anybody can answer. Not anybody. You got to be like somewhat technical. And then a function of reducing all those different service layers is that you also save a ton of cost, right? So like we abstract all those different people out and now it's faster, it's easier to use, and it costs less money. Nobody else, to my knowledge, in the market is doing anything close to self-service penetration testing. And I don't know why, because I know why, right? Self-service penetration testing means that you've got to have like transparent pricing, which means that everybody gets the same price and you can't upcharge somebody tons of money because you can extract more cash from them and stuff like that. You can buy a car from your couch on your phone. Like, why can't you?
You didn't even have it delivered.
Yeah. So why do we insist on, no, but if you want cybersecurity, you got to jump through hoops, right? It just doesn't make sense.